Hey everyone, welcome to another Bounty BookTube video. I know it's been a while since I've posted, and I do want to apologize for that because we've just been super busy here at the store. So I want to talk about that. So yeah, we've been busy. We did a big night of mystery. We've had authors coming in like crazy. We've been expanding the store like crazy, and I know we haven't been posting any videos of anything because it just takes so much time to do editing. That I haven't had the time to do it. I don't have the time to film, and I don't have the time to edit, so I've just pushed it off for a second. So I'm planning to get back into it and start doing more with the booktubing and the reviews, and we have the blog, which I'm able to keep up with because I can write a blog over multiple days. It takes, a video needs to be done one shot pretty much. So today I'm going to be reviewing a book, and this is the book that our teen book club just did, and I think it's a phenomenal book. A lot of people are giving it some kind of bad reviews. Some people are giving it great reviews. Some people are giving it in between reviews. But I actually really like this book, and this is The Four Dead Queens by Astrid Schultes. And I actually think this is a phenomenal book. We did it for the teen book club. We had a great discussion, filled the whole hour. This book is set in a very unique, I couldn't even tell you if this was in the past or future. It's in such a world that incorporates so much that it is definitely a dystopian, kind of world. There's 4 different quadrants in which these queens rule. There's Ionia, there's Lucidia, there's Archia, and then I believe there was also Toria. And each one of these quadrants, they rule over their own kind of things. So like Archia, or Archaea, however it's said, is the agricultural district or quadrant, and they're very natural. They have no electricity. They do what they do, and that's it. There's nothing more to it than that. Whereas Ionia is the technological, medical, and scientific quadrant. And they deal with all the technological advances, and they have technology that none of the other quadrants have. And there's actually rules that the queens have that this technology just can't just come out to the other quadrants. Seemingly the same with Lucidia and Toria. They're all responsible for what they do, and none of the other quadrants do it. And so it's a very unique world. So some worlds are super far ahead, and some worlds are like still in the Stone Age. Or a more advanced Stone Age, I should say. They have little bits of technology, but not a lot. And they don't have electricity. I mean, that's not what goes on today. Try farming without electricity now. You're going to not be able to produce as much food as you need to for all the people out there. So that's kind of the beginning of the book. Is you have this mayor from Archia comes in, talks to the queens, and for the most part, the queen tells him, no, I don't want electricity in there. And you kind of sit there just like, well, why? It makes sense. But for her, she wants to, keep her culture intact. Now, she's not there. She's stuck in this palace. She can't leave. She's not over there to see how things are going. They don't get to leave the palace ever to see how everything is going. They just have to rule from the throne. And they follow this queenly law, and they try to keep their districts as intact as possible. And really, they have no knowledge of what's going on. And I don't know how they get the knowledge, or if they send scouts or whatnot, but the world is very set in a unique way. And I kind of say that there's an Artemis Fowl twist in here with the thief girl, just because it's kind of the same kind of world. It's very advanced, but still kind of, in the past. But in this book, we're following the murders of 4 queens. So the first queen gets killed. She gets her neck slit, and sorry for spoilers. Neck gets slit. She falls on the ground, dies. And then the queens come together. Now we're following this thief girl who came and stole these comms, or these memory chips, from this messenger. And this messenger or whatnot was supposed to deliver these. Now, moving forward, I'm going to skip forward a little bit. There's this big auction that they have for the thieves when all of the handlers bring the goods in. And the lead guy, Maciel, who is the love interest for Carolee. Carolee is the thief girl. Maciel is like the overlord of criminals in this book. Ends up not selling it at the auction. Usually he sells everything at the auction, and he pulls a gun on Carolee and kind of turns on her as a friend, and the messenger ends up becoming the friend, and it's just very unique. And she ends up eating those memory chips because you put them on your tongues, and you get to experience the memories in which were on them, and she just very fast-paced saw all the queens getting murdered. And that's the exact point where in the book that it gets confusing. Because now the confusion is timeline adds up all the way up to this point. The problem with the book, and this is where it happens, is that the timeline kind of falls apart. So are we in the future with the thieves? Are we in the past with the thieves? Are we middle ground? Is there future technology that can assume whatever's going to happen to them, and they're just getting a warning message of this is how you're going to die? They haven't, it doesn't get explained ever in the book, and so it's confusing. These messages, you got to think, well, what happened if they were to receive them? It probably would have made the book make way more sense. But this is what I want people to understand. That's what makes this book great, because it confuses you on the timeline, but it doesn't confuse you. If you remember that this book is all happening at the same time, the story is just progressing at the same time from beginning to end, there is no confusion. That was the biggest thing that came up in our book club. The biggest confusing part, was that in the book, the timeline was like, are we in the past? Are we in the future? Is Carolee doing what she's doing with Machiel at the current moment? Or is this in the future? What's going to happen? And this is kind of where more of the confusion happens. Some more spoiler alerts. At the end of the book, Carolee goes under trial for the murder of the queens. And they claim that she was hypnotized. Again, have no idea how she was hypnotized in this book. I mean, she has the memories, so she ate the calm case. It kind of makes sense that way. But if she was hypnotized, how would she have experienced that? And so the only other thing we came up with in the book club was, yeah, she did it, didn't remember, and these calm cases sparked her memory and brought her back to seeing if she actually did it, and she just can't remember. And that's why she was important to Machiel and all the shenanigans. And that's why we think, oh, well, did this happen in the future or the past? Was this supposed to happen? And to be honest with you, we never find out who the boss is for the messenger ever in the book. So you don't know who's telling him what to do. So there's just a lot of loose ends throughout the book. But if you really look at the book, it really makes a lot of sense. When one of the queens gets burned and goes unconscious, the boyfriend or the love interest was the last one in the room. The guards were in it. There's it's almost like there's an uprising happening. And that's kind of the bottom line that I'm getting, is there's such an overlaying factor that we still haven't figured out who the murderer is, that of course there needs to be a book 2. And if she doesn't put out a book 2, everyone's going to be, thrown. But the problem is, if there's just so much going on. There's too many loose ends in this book to end it on this one book. Like, this is one book. It has to be the first of the series. Because of what's happening in the book doesn't necessarily end. It ends on a cliffhanger. Carolee goes and lives with her father after he receives the Hydra. He receives the medical thing. Spoiler alert, sorry. It's full of spoilers. But what happens next? What happens with the queens next? One of the queens didn't actually die. So what happens next? What's happening to the daughter? What's going to happen to Machiel? Is Carolee, because I have this this feeling, they wiped royal history. So they have no idea who's in the bloodline. How are they going to pick the 3 new queens? Are they going to just pick randomly, or are they going to pick people, or are they going to try to find royal blood? Are they going to do one supreme ruler? Are they, there's too many questions on the notice of everything, that how do you leave the book where it was left? It's incomplete, in my opinion. I think this is a fantastic book. It's definitely worth the read. Definitely 100% worth it. I think this world is wonderfully set, wonderfully built, and I don't think there's anything that I would do differently with it. I just want to see a book 2. Book 2 is all she needs to do. Write a second book, tie up all the loose ends you had in this book, maybe write a third book to finish out the trilogy. And I think she has one of the most genius next-gen series ever. So anyways, that's my review on this book. If you haven't picked it up, I definitely recommend picking this book up. It's a lot of fun to read. If you can just get past the little bits of confusion, you're good. Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning into this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry for the spoiler alerts. But, you know, when you know the spoilers and then read the story, it makes a lot more sense of the story instead of just sitting there questioning it the whole time, like a lot of other people did. And I think we had a great discussion at our book club. So tune in to our next one. If you follow us on Facebook or you go to our website, we have our full blog on there on our website now. We have a couple of different bloggers that are going to be blogging for us. And we're going to be trying to put out more BookTube videos on our channel. We're also going to follow the other 2 booktubers that are local here in Vacaville on our BookTube channel so that we can all be together and all do our thing. So anyways, definitely do me one more favor. If you've watched this video and you got all the way to the end, give me a comment below on which quadrant you would belong to if you were in this world. Would you be a Taurian? Would you be an Aeonian? Would you be an Archean? Or would you be a Lucidian? I would be a Taurian, for sure. Awesome. Love you guys. Peace out.